God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 15 of Your Journey Is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. I want to start off today with some things that was discussed with my spiritual team just a couple days ago. Number 1, I never stop learning. Number 2, I never stop learning about myself. I have had this soul and this mind and this body for 54 years now. And guess what? I'm still learning and discovering new things about myself every single day. One can never stop learning. And since I started what I call my yellow brick road, my healing journey, which also has to include self-love journey, you have to embrace your traumas, or as I like to call, one's imperfections. Once you embrace those things that hurt you, damaged you, so to speak, and you accept them, you heal them, and you accept that everything that happened, well, it happened, and you can't change it. As my dad always taught me, and it's something I turn to a lot, accept the things that you cannot change, but one must change the things that they can. We can't change our past, and that past, well, it's what made us who we are today. What I learned from my conversation with my spiritual team this week is that it takes great wisdom. You know, when you can find humor and laugh at your imperfections, your traumas, and your own mistakes. And these memories without sad or bad emotions, they're not called being detached. They're also called wisdom. Also, what I was told is that I glide across the waters of my soul to hopefully bring love and light to others, and that I somehow managed to walk through fire without ever smelling like smoke. Those were huge compliments to me. They actually made me cry. Am I perfect? Never. No way. I fall from grace just like everyone else. But then I ask for forgiveness, and I learn what I must from whatever situation. I always remind myself that God built every fiber of me, so He doesn't expect me to be perfect. He doesn't expect any of us to be perfect. We must make mistakes to learn the error in our ways, and to hopefully not focus on the mistake itself, but the lesson that we learn from that mistake. You know, do better, be better. As I've always said, I'm not perfect, nor will I ever claim to be. I'm pretty upfront with who I am. And again, God knows who I am. He's my creator. I haven't met one person that is perfect. And well, if there is a person walking the face of the earth that is perfect, I want to meet that person. Because I was taught there's only one that is perfect, and that is God. And I say always, I can't wait to meet Him. And we all must meet Him one day, when we stand or we bow before Him for our judgment day. There's no way out of it, something we all must do. Also, let me explain, when we do have these meetings, sometimes on Zoom calls, and there are a lot of times I meet with them one-on-one too. When we do meet up, well, we just go where we're led to talk about. Somehow we got to talking about when I was 10, 11 years old. You know, being alone, no adult supervision, no one to wake me up for school. One of my spiritual advisors said, most kids at that age probably wouldn't have even went to school. Well, again, this is how I see things, and again, my sense of humor. I immediately said, a girl's got to eat. I knew if I didn't go to school, I didn't eat that day. And yes, it's humorous to me now. My motivation was food, So, yes, I got myself up and ready and to the bus stop on time. Lunch was my only meal 99% of the time. Even at a young age, I knew I had to survive. I had survival skills. How do I find humor in something so horrible? I can't change it, and I've learned from it, believe it or not. I learned how not to take the simplest things for granted. Basic things. I learned to be grateful for every bite that I take, and to not be wasteful, and to never take something as simple as food for granted. My grandma always said, waste not, want not. I will jump forward a little bit since I'm on this subject. 5 days before my husband died of cancer, we had what we called our last date night. We ordered pizza and a sub, our favorite, and we watched Christmas movies, which is my favorite. Mind you, this was in August. And while we were eating, without realizing that I do this, I guess I had thanked him several times for the food. And he stopped eating and he looked at me so serious and he asked me, "Why do you always do that?" I had no clue what he was talking about. So I asked him, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "You have always done that. You always thank me several times when we are eating." I guess I do it without even realizing it, and it had never been brought to my attention before. The only answer I had was, I have went without food so much in my life, as a child and as an adult. As a child, you have absolutely no control over it, and it's such a helpless feeling. But experiencing it as an adult, which was one of my worst nightmares that came to pass almost 11 years ago, and experiencing it as an adult, well, it's just as helpless. So I never stopped being grateful, not even for the smallest things in life. The most basic things that others might take for granted. And if you've never had to experience the lack of, then be grateful, truly grateful for that. Again, instead of focusing on those long, hungry days, I chose not to be stuck in that and to take what most people take for granted and to be grateful. And yes, find some humor. Like I said, a girl's got to eat. Romans 8, verse 28 says that he uses all things together for our good. So I embrace that. Live, learn, and grow. Yes, I jumped off of my personal journey again, in which I will try to jump back on Thursday. Again, I have no control. Once I sit down to write, I just let my pen flow. I do want to start something new today. First, let me say, I have a lot of people that ask me, how do I stay so happy, so upbeat, so high energy, and so positive? Well, the simplest way to answer that is I read, I pray, I journal. I trust God more than I ever have before. I have complete faith that everything will work out the way it's supposed to for me. God's plan. I don't waste time worrying or stressing over things now. I wasn't always this way. I had to release my type A personality. My need to control the outcome of whatever situation in my life. Just release it completely and give 100% trust in God. Whatever is meant for me will not pass me by. God won't let it. And again, my own special way of seeing things, okay? I look at it like when we worry and we stress, well, God just kicks back in his nice, cozy lounge chair. And he says, okay, my child, since you feel the need to do my job, because we are supposed to hand our worries, our fears, and our struggles over to him. So again, he's like, okay, I'm just going to relax and chill out here and see how you do. Again, trying to do my job. Let's be honest, we don't do so well. When we release it and we hand it over to him and completely trust him, then he kicks up that lounge chair and he gets up and he gets to work doing again his job as only he can. So that's how I stay so positive and so upbeat and so optimistic. And like I said, I read a lot. So I thought I would start something new today and end every podcast with things that I have read that have helped me. Our minds, bodies, and souls are what we put into it, whether it be food, knowledge, or literature. So I hope it helps whoever it's meant to help, like it has me. Before I get to that, I do want to share that I'm learning Chinese and Japanese and also Spanish. I know I have a lot going on, but learning is so much fun to me now. I'm like a little kid just wanting to learn everything. I would like to say, domo arigato. That means thank you so much in Japanese. Now, this is the one that I chose to share today, and it starts out like this. You could let the pain define you, steal your joy, keep you stuck in what was. Or you could surrender it to Jesus, trusting that He can bring beauty from the ashes. Every trial carries a lesson, every heartbreak an opportunity to draw closer to Him. Jesus didn't promise a life without suffering, but He did promise His presence, His peace, and His power to heal and restore. Let what was meant to break you become the very thing that strengthens your faith. Keep moving forward, not just in your own strength, but in His. He is making all things new. Wo hai ni. That means I love you in Chinese. And of course, gracias, always. Also, again, if there are any platforms that are pretending to me, please be careful and don't get scammed. I do not ask for money in any way. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Thursday, listen in, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what